Since the release of its first season back in 2014, it didn't take long for Outlander to become one of the biggest titles in the history of the Starz network. And with its impressive list of cast members, coupled with brilliant writing, it's no wonder season 6 is so anticipated. But what headlines do Outlander fans need to take heed of? And what do they tell us about the future? For this and more, stay tuned. First things first, let's talk about the Outlander sequel that's in development. It's an announcement that has fans over the moon, especially considering how we've been waiting for almost 2 years to see more of the Outlander universe. And while we would have preferred some information regarding the eventual release date of season 6, we'll take what we can. For those of you who don't know, Outlander is based on a series of novels of the same name written by Diana Gabaldon. And before you think that the novels have next to nothing to do with the Starz franchise, it's important to note that Gabaldon actually works as a supervisor on the show to ensure that the full extent of her novels are reflected on the silver screen. In other words, she has a pretty dynamic relationship with the showrunners. And according to her, the success of the show and fan reaction has led her to a new story that she can't wait to get out into the world. This new series will take the form of a prequel and revolve around the lives of Jamie Fraser's parents, characters that fans have wanted to know more about from the very beginning of the franchise. And as it turns out, Gabaldon had a rather dramatic way of making this announcement. She took to Facebook, where she went on to reveal what she thinks will be the first line of the new book, a line that describes the actions of Ellen Mackenzie as intentional and strong, just what we'd expect from Jamie's mother. Fans don't need to worry about the effect of this project on the franchise, though. According to Gabaldon, she has barely begun working on the prequel series. In fact, it has been described as a mere idea brought to fruition by the thoughts and desires of her fans. Before truly getting into it, she'd have to finish the Outlander series off strong, though. She is, after all, still in the midst of completing the 10th installment of the written universe. This announcement was also off the back of Gabaldon expressing her sympathy for George R.R. Martin of Game of Thrones fame, who was constantly being pestered by fans to finish up the next book in the franchise. Clearly afraid that Gabaldon might too become distracted by other projects and leave the Outlander franchise to fall by the wayside, fans on Twitter didn't take long to make their worries known. But Gabaldon has suggested that the prequel is just as crucial to the history of Outlander than the 10th series in the franchise. And in the end, we couldn't care less as to which novel we might get first, as much as we love seeing Jamie and Claire together and desperately want to know what's going to happen next. Having a deeper knowledge of Jamie's family might end up making the upcoming moments even greater. In other words, Gabaldon should ignore fans and do whatever she thinks is right. If she's feeling this new prequel series more, jump right into it, so long as we get an incredible story in the end. But what can we expect from this prequel story if not future answers? Well, this is a bit difficult to answer considering how Gabaldon hasn't even started to conceptualize the idea yet, but as we said earlier, the prequel series would undoubtedly revolve around Jamie's parents, Ellen and Brian Fraser. According to Gabaldon, there's a lot more to get into when it comes to Jamie's past, though. We've heard tidbits of knowledge regarding his mother, and know she was widely regarded as one of the most lovable women of her era. We also know that the relationship between Jamie's parents was as fiery as the one between him and Claire, so there's no question that fans will want to read about this in the future. As to what else we can expect from the show, we have no idea. But it sounds like Gabaldon has been thinking about the novel for quite some time now. In an interview with Town and Country magazine, she mentioned that the prequel story is one that is definitely talking to her right now, and something she's been thinking about for more than a few years. Not exactly surprising considering how fans have been asking about Jamie's past since the release of the first season of the show. She even went on to mention that she has actual scenes in her mind for the end product that she would love to bring to fruition. But she's kept pretty mum about these particular scenes, not knowing whether they will actually be incorporated just yet. And that's about all we know. On the topic of season 6, though, fans have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity coming. According to reports, fans who have been awaiting the next installment of the Outlander franchise might be given the opportunity to see the premiere 2 weeks before everyone else. Not all fans are treated equally, though, with the premiere taking place in London and thus only being open to a few lovers of everything Outlander. The great news was brought to the fan base by Sam Heughan and Katrina Balfe, who are best known for their respective portrayals of Jamie and Claire Fraser. The pair took to social media to inform their fans that a small number would qualify to see the premiere of season 6 in London, 2 weeks before the release of the first episode of the season on Starz. And, better yet, those not present in London can choose to attend the premiere virtually for the same price. All they really need is the tickets to be a part of the incredible opportunity. And while many fan bases would see this as a studio doing everything it can to milk a franchise, we honestly couldn't care less. We've been waiting for season 6 for so long now that an extra paywall is nothing to really contend with. Better yet, this means that fans really know when Outlander 6 will be coming to their television screens, since the premiere event is set for February 24th. The official release date is undoubtedly 2 weeks later on March 6th. Suffice to say, we couldn't be more excited. But how can you get your hands on these premiere tickets though? For fans in London, this is incredibly easy. Physical tickets for the premiere at the Royal Festival Hall can be purchased online. And as it turns out, fanatics of the show can expect to see more than the first episode for the price of admission. According to reports, the screening will be followed by a live and virtual panel with the cast and executive producers of the show, moderated by Edith Bowman of broadcasting fame. But how much will these tickets set you back though? Well, according to Sam and Katrina, there's no real price wall that will prevent fans from getting to the action. And that's because the tickets are actually 100% free of charge. There are a limited number of physical tickets available though, which will undoubtedly be handed out on a first-come, first-served basis. So by the sound of things, the studio isn't actually looking to milk the franchise for everything it has. It's literally doing something nice for fans to make up for the delay that the coronavirus pandemic had on the release of season 6. Just keep in mind that access to the premiere venue does require fans to be fully vaccinated with a booster shot. It will also require fans to show proof of a negative PCR test taken on the day of the event, and like any theatrical production at the moment, all attendees will be required to wear masks when not eating or drinking. Last but not least, let's talk about Katrina's Oscar snub that has fans up in arms. For a while now, the Oscars have been somewhat irrelevant to the entertainment world. Just look at the viewership numbers and you'll see that the majority of fans don't care much for what the Academy thinks of their beloved franchises. That being said, we like to see our favorite cast members and franchises being awarded for a job well done, especially when this often has the effect of increasing their budgets in the long run. So, when Katrina Balfe was snubbed once again for her fantastic performance in Belfast, fans couldn't help but make their disappointment known on social media. What made this snub even worse is how Balfe picked up every precursor to the award, including winning a BAFTA nod just last week. She was assumed to be a shoo-in for an Oscar nomination in the supporting actress category. But it seems like the Academy has once again chosen to instead prop up boring titles we can't stand to watch. And there you have it. Everything you need to know about the Outlander franchise at the moment. What do you think of the sequel though? And how excited are you for season 6? Be sure to let us know in the comment section down below.